Ho ho ho! And that's a bad intro. You're gonna cut that, Jace, and we'll go with this other one.
Yeah, sure. I'll do that for you.
You'll do that. Thank you. Welcome everyone back to the VHS Vault special Christmas edition. I am one of your hosts, VHS Jase. Next to me, of course, is Jason Roy Gaston, and we are feeling the Christmas spirit here.
Yes.
Are we not?
Yes. The Christmas spirit has also sent us a cease and desist, and it instructs us to stay 1,000 yards away at all time.
Yeah, well, we didn't have to tell them all about that, but it is true. Wow, this is we didn't choose this week's. Let's just put it out there.
No, we did not. This was a Patreon choice. I believe Patreon chose well.
It chose well, yeah. Yes, absolutely. And it's a recent film too. It's not an old film. It only came out a couple of years ago. And yes, you obviously know if you haven't seen the thumbnail or read the title and just randomly clicked on this, we are talking Violent Night.
Violent Night.
Yep.
Kudos for the title. Kudos for the title.
High concept action fantasy Christmas movie, I suppose. Kind of Die Hard meets Christmas is the obvious comparison they make, but I think this is much more than that. So than just that simple premise. But yeah, I mean, let's put it up front. I don't know anyone who hates this film. Everyone who's seen this, Jason, loves this movie, and for bloody good reason. I've got to be honest.
Well, you either love this movie or you're just wrong, and you're on the naughty list, and Santa's coming with Skull Crusher.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, look, it's did it even get a theatrical release? I can't remember. I just remember seeing it
because I saw it in theaters, and it was amazing.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it got a theatrical release anywhere else, but it got a theatrical release in America, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, for you, yeah. But no, I got to see it pretty well. About the right time, just before Christmas. I think it was on Amazon Prime down here or something like that. But yeah, I remember being absolutely delighted in the film. Being this like, this is a great, fun kind of concept. Not particularly a family movie, Jace, but a fun Christmas movie nonetheless.
Well, it kind of depends on your family, but for the most part, no.
Yes, anyone
not
under
a
10,
family
maybe
movie.
not. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But even though it is that, it's not a family film. It is soaked in the Christmas spirit, this movie. It's fair to say, right?
It is, strangely enough, it is. And I'm making comparisons sometimes to another movie, which I don't want to talk about right now, because I'm sure we will get into that later. But to me, this is a Santa Claus action adventure movie that kind of reinvents the character done right. Because it does just mire in that Christmas spirit, despite the fact that Santa is literally murdering people and saying the F word over and over and over again and getting so drunk that he throws up. He's still Santa, and this is still a Christmas movie. There's carols play in the background. It's got Christmas decorations everywhere. Make no mistake, this is the Christmas spirit in an R-rated movie. It can be done. There's another movie that did it too, Harold and Kumar's Christmas. Steeped in the Christmas spirit. I don't understand why it's so hard. I really don't. And again, I'll get into that later.
Well, I would say one of the strengths of this movie is the fact that Santa Claus actually has a character arc in this movie.
Yes, he does.
Which is not something that you typically see with Santa. He's either kidnapped or he's whatever. Like, there's always... We don't really see a lot of growth in Santa here, but we see Santa at his absolute worst in this film. In the fact that he's lost it. He's not interested. He's a drunk. He's irresponsible. He's resentful. Not the Santa you'll think of at the start of this film. And look, David Harbour, let's give it up to his performance as Santa.
Yeah, it was so really good. And body part, he fits it, okay? He's not like fat, jolly Santa, but I buy him as Santa.
Yeah, he's big, strong. Yeah.
I really appreciate the way he did not play up the stereotypical Santa. He didn't deepen his voice. He was like, ho ho ho, hello little girl, let's go over here and kill some terrorists. No, he was just using his regular voice, and I think that lent a lot to making Santa an actual character, not a caricature.
And, there are certain moments in this which I really love to see the evolution of him coming back, taking responsibility. I love the fact that his connection with the only child in this film he's connecting with, but he connects with her more than anyone else. And
Yes, he
that's
does.
like at the true core of Santa. Santa does it for the kids. It's all about the kids. And the fact that he's such an open and honest relationship with this girl in this film really works for me. And this is the third time I've seen it now. And I think I've enjoyed it the third time more than any other time because it's written well. Like for
It is.
a high concept action film, it's actually got a heart.
It does, and I think that's something else that other movies I would compare this to don't have, is that it does have character arcs, and it does have that, as you called it, a heart where it's not just actors on screen saying things. You feel like something important has happened, something real has evolved. I'm also going to give it up to the young girl, and I usually have the IMDb open, but I'm irresponsible like Santa in the beginning of this movie, and I didn't do it. But the little girl was one of the least annoying little girls I've seen in a movie like this in forever, because she was smart. I have to say, I think I laughed more at the Home Alone bit than I laughed at any other thing in this movie, simply because, okay, I've often said there is a great potential for a Home Alone sequel if they just get Macaulay Culkin to reprise his role and have him defend his home from Harry and Marv again, but like they're in their 40s, or he's in his 40s, and it's R-rated. I think it would be amazing. This is probably the closest we're going to get to an R-rated Home Alone, and beside anything that the Corridor crew put together. I laughed, I winced, and the fact that I'm watching all this happen also drives home another point. I know I'm kind of rambling here, but I've got to say this.
Go.
This movie knows when to be ridiculous, and it never seems to overdo it. It knows its own ridiculousness threshold and dances on that line, but it never quite goes over. It never turns into, let's say, attack snowmen or anything like that. But it does have its ridiculousness very close to its chest, but it plays it so well that you accept it after a while. You accept that Santa can teleport, and you accept that this little girl can create these great Rube Goldberg traps up in the attic. I enjoyed that so much, and I don't think people realize how hard of a balance that is between believability and ridiculousness, because it's very easy just to kind of boom go one way or the other, and this movie danced that line perfectly.
Well, the conceit, the idea of a storytelling device is, and this is how they solve trying to explain everything. It's Christmas magic, and I don't even understand how it really works.
I love that.
And it just solves all those storytelling problems. Like, in the sense that the believability factor is, hey, it's Christmas magic. And
Christmas
I'm
magic,
totally in. I'm totally in. It was just really, really great. His backstory, genius idea, and a way to be able to solidify how he can kick some serious backside in this movie, because he originally was a warrior and a thief and a murderer and all that kind of thing. And it's a really interesting origin for him that I liked.
It is. I enjoyed. I have seen a few movies that have given Santa a backstory. As a matter of fact, last year we did one of them, Santa Claus the movie, which incidentally, I will look. There's the link right there. Unless I forgot to do it, now I just look stupid. But yeah,
considering you're going to edit this.
Oh yeah, I edit these things, so if I don't throw it up there, it's all on your boy right here.
All on you, dude.
Oh, I'm in trouble. Santa Claus the movie gave Santa Claus an origin story. and it was interesting. And
Yeah.
then this one comes along, gives Santa a darker origin story, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
I then, you know, a movie comes along like Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and it's pedantic and stupid.
Yeah.
And what was that other one? There's another one that was recently out where Santa was all jacked and he was played by this guy who
Yeah.
also played a
We
reporter. I
might
can't remember
touch
what
on
it
that a little
was.
later. We might touch on
Yeah,
that.
do we have
We
to?
might. Look, okay, so we've got a really great Santa Claus. We agree with that. We've got some really fine actors in there, including who I thought was a above average villain. I'm not going to say he was a great villain, but he worked for me because I like the actor quite a lot, and that's John Leguizamo playing Scrooge. And I love that
I
little
adore the
quirk
guy.
where he forces them all to have Christmas names, which is
Yeah,
no other reason for him to play out his psychosis, which gets a really offbeat scene that seems like kind of inappropriate for what else is going on. But you're in the moment where he describes what happened to him as a kid. Like, and nobody believed him that it was an accident. And he really, at the core of this, yes, he's a thief, he's the villain, he's the robber, but he's also got some real deep emotional issues around Christmas that he needs to deal with. And he gets to deal with in
you
this
know, it's
film.
kind of funny. This movie had the Home Alone moment. I call that the Gremlins moment,
Mm,
where all of a sudden we're in this funny comedy action kind of grotesque movie.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden one character just says this out of place monologue about childhood trauma.
yeah.
And you're just like, yay, what's happening? Yay, we're back. Some dude just got stabbed in the chin. Yay. Uh, I adore John Leguizamo. I think he's great. I remember seeing him in this movie, and my first thought was, oh, this is going to be good. It's John Leguizamo. I had no idea he was in this movie
Mm.
until he showed up. There's another actor who I have not seen in a whole lot of stuff, and I had to look him up. Brendan Fletcher, who plays Krampus. Um,
Ah,
Hilarious actor. I wish
yeah,
he did more stuff.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there is some. Yeah, there's some. The henchmen are quality. We have quality
Yeah,
henchmen in this film,
we do.
which
But
kind of helps.
they all pale. Every single one of them pales to the most evil character in this movie.
Of course, the
And that's
wonderful.
Beverly D'Angelo as Gertrude. Beverly D'Angelo, you goddess, you were absolutely hysterical. I
Mm.
mean, on the order of Betty White in Lake Placid hysterical in this movie. Just the meanest, most
She's like the entire
awful human
cast of
being.
Succession in one character.
Exactly, just an absolutely disgusting human being, and yet at the same time, I'm thinking, you know, I would have dinner with this woman.
Well, let's be
Just
honest. She's the hero. She's a hero in this film. By the end
she
of it,
really is, yeah.
she saved Santa's life. Like, let's be
Yeah.
honest. So,
Gertrude
no, she
saved
was great.
Santa.
And,
She
and
was, yeah.
it's the twisted family dynamic I love too. Like, so they're there to steal $300 million in cash that's sitting in the basement, and the father, who's the good guy, who seems the meek, the most manipulated by this family, has actually already concocted a plan, which
Yeah.
I love too. That he was gonna rip him off, like rip his mother off, and you knew something was up when he got the gift. Like she read the letter, like when he like gave her the gift, and the look on her face, and I was like, oh, something serious is happening there. Yeah, he was
I
gonna steal from his
really
mum.
I really liked this was the second time I've watched this movie. I
Yeah.
watched it in theaters, haven't watched it again. I watched it this time, knowing what was going to happen, and
Mm.
just seeing that scene where she reads that letter, and you just see
Yeah.
this look on her face, like,
Yeah.
I think I'll just keep this between us for now.
Yeah.
And just the look on Alex Hassel's face,
Yeah.
who is also a very underrated actor, by the way.
He's been in quite a lot, that guy, actually.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could not remember where I'd seen him from, and
The
then I remembered,
Boys?
oh, he was in The Boys,
He
right?
was
He
in The
was the
Boys.
invisible guy
His
in The
Dark
Boys.
Materials.
We didn't recognize him because he was invisible most of the time, and they put that character through a lot. But yeah, he pulled off this great mix of wholesome and slimy at the same time.
He
And
did, right?
I didn't appreciate that until I watched this movie the second time and knew what was going on from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And after that, I had a much greater respect for the way that Alex Hassel played this role. So
In
I
a
thought he
way,
did a great job.
from his perspective, in a way, him and Santa have kind of parallel things. They've both given up. They're both desperate,
Hmm.
in their own certain kind of ways. And he like learns a Christmas spirit again, which is a nice little touch. Again, it's a tight script, which is, really when it kicks into gear, when it turns to 11, and my Lord, it turns to 11, this film. Especially in that basement scene, which is just phenomenal. John Wick level action scene
Oh yeah,
with a candy cane, with a hammer, like magnificent stuff, really is. And David Harbour has the wherewithal to pull off the action scenes and the physique to pull off the action scenes really well. He's totally
he does,
believable.
and he's kind of that. Despite the fact he's Santa, he's
Mm.
got this he's got this fun everyman personality as well. If I were to compare it to anything, he was Danny Glover in Predator 2.
Yeah,
Just I'm just here to do a job.
yeah,
It's a job I could do without, but I care about, and I'm going to do it well.
yeah,
And I just love because you just identify with them. Whenever they
yeah. Mm.
first find him and he's hiding behind the trees, like I'm just here to do a job. I
Yeah,
just
I
let me
don't want any
leave
of this. Yeah.
because that's how I would act. Be like, dude, I don't know these people. Just let me go. Ho ho ho! I'm Santa. You want to sit on my lap? Tell me what you want.
Mm. The fact I liked his, when you talked about the magical stuff, the bag plays into it. I like
Yes,
the Santa sack, especially in one of the action scenes, works out really well.
Die Hard 2 on DVD.
That's it. That's it. And I love that. At one point, he keeps pulling out video games.
Yeah,
There's even the little social commentaries of what kids want these days. Is laced in there, a little bit of
I ain't gonna say a
a
thing. That's what
poke.
I want these days.
Yeah. So, but no, it works really well. It's a tight film, and it's, I think part of me thinks it's underrated, but another part of me thinks that it isn't because it was financially successful. But I don't
Yes,
hear enough people really lauding this as. I remember at the time people saying it's good, but it's better than good, as far as I'm concerned. This film, forget about the Christmas theme. This is just a great action film.
it is.
In the
It
style
is.
of the great action films from the 80s and 90s. And it's heavily influenced by, of course, Die Hard and those well-made action films. But then you bring the production team from the John Wick series involved in this, and they are, you get this level of action and this level of the stakes. And it's, man, the title's right. It's a violent night.
It is, and it's
And
so
they
much
don't
fun.
hold back, Well, especially in that basement scene where he starts to. There's one where he puts on a freaking a skate on his hand, and he starts, and then he does that finishing move with that dude, locks it into the thing, and then just walks away, and you see the head remain, and then the body just slide down that pole. Magnificent
It
stuff.
That was so great. I
Yeah,
loved that. There were so many great choices they did with the action to kind of keep it lighthearted, even though Santa's literally murdering people. I
yeah,
think my absolute favorite one was whenever he was fighting the guy out in the snow
yeah.
and he gets that grenade off of him, stuffs it down the back of his pants and starts to run away, and then he stops and goes, I gotta watch this. And he turns and then the guy blows up, and then he turns a ho 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 ho. He does the ho ho ho, and
Yeah,
it's earned at that point, and I loved it. I
it
loved it so much.
absolutely
I
is.
just love this movie. It's so stupid, but I love it.
Well, it's his reluctance in the beginning to be involved
Yes.
makes when he does turn into this action star. It's okay. It's totally okay. Sanders murdering. He didn't want to murder anyone. He didn't want to hurt anyone. But he has a responsibility to do the right thing. And we get that moment when he's walking out of the house and he sighs and he realizes he has to go back because of that family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Who
we're
has not
all
been
on
in that?
board at that point. We're all
Yeah.
on board.
again, it's identifiable. Who has not been in that situation? Who hasn't been driving down the road and you see like a family stuck on the side of the road with a tire and it's raining and you just kind of go and then pull over to
Yeah,
see if they need help. I mean,
exactly.
it's such a Christmassy thing because it's that
Yeah.
whole goodwill towards men and women.
Mm,
You know, if you want to get politically correct, I just it captures the holiday even in
mm.
the most perverse way.
It's Christmas magic on its own. Mind you,
It's,
can I just say the best use of Christmas magic in this film has to be the death scene of John Leguizamo.
that was so
Brilliant.
amazing.
It
I
was
just loved it.
amazing. Yeah.
They usually I can catch whenever they set things up like that,
Yeah.
and this one I did not know what was going to happen until you saw John Leguizamo's body snap in half. And I just thought, oh my gosh, they
He's
set
at
it
the
up
top
right
of
in
the
front of
chimney
us.
with this headless, legless body, just torso, basically. And he
Yeah.
does the
Ho,
ho, ho, ho on that. He
ho, ho,
enjoys that.
ho. Ho, 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 ho.
It's
Who
absolutely
wouldn't?
brilliant.
Who
Yeah.
wouldn't?
Even his relationship with the reindeers, I loved. Like he's
Hmm.
annoyed with them. You know, he took a crap on the roof in the beginning to the end where he realizes they actually went home to grab his extra sack. Oh, I can't be angry at you guys. And I
Yeah,
just
it's
love that.
great.
It was really
It's so
great.
it's so
So
great. If you haven't seen this movie, by gosh, see this movie. Please
it's a
do.
real treat. It's a
It
real
needs more
treat.
fans.
Yeah,
David
it does.
Harbour says that they're making a sequel.
Oh,
He
well, why
as
wouldn't you?
recently
Well,
as yeah, as recently as this last fall, he said that they're going to start shooting Violent Night 2 in 2025. So I
oh,
hope they
brilliant.
actually are, and he's not just trying to build up hype for a sequel that doesn't exist. Because I
Yeah.
honestly think that this could be great.
This
You
could
know,
be
let's
absolutely.
do a siege at the North Pole and do it right this time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that shortly. Shortly, we'll have a talk about another attempt at blockbuster action coming up. But to tie this film up before we get there, um, you got anything more to add, or how much more can you sum up the love that we have for this incredibly inventive Christmas story?
I think it is inventive. We've seen some mixed results at reinventing the character of Santa Claus, Rise of the Guardians and some
Yep.
other movie, and Santa Claus the movie. This one,
Yep.
I think, is probably the best attempt ever to reinvent the
Yep.
character of Santa Claus, to give him some actual characteristics beyond the stereotypes. And if you haven't watched it, you need to, because movies like this needs champions. So be this movie's champion. Go watch Violent Night,
You
and if
can
they
go
do make the
watch it on
sequel, go
Paramount
watch
Plus.
Violent Night 2.
Yeah, at Paramount Plus it's on at the moment. Well, here in Australia, that's
Okay, I was
available.
gonna say I was looking for it. I had to pay to rent this thing.
Oh, did you really? Did you really?
Yeah.
Now this film, it's a gorgeous looking, looks like a expensive film. $20 million.
Hmm.
This
Yeah,
film
not that
cost.
expensive at all.
Not
I
expensive at all.
appreciate frugal filmmaking. I enjoy it.
It made $76.6 million worldwide, which made it profitable, and that's without the deals they made in DVD sales or streaming. So, this thing absolutely earned enough that the studio would want to make a sequel.
Yes.
Excuse me. All right, let's now.
I'll edit
This
that out
Christmas.
too.
Yeah, you'll edit that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll edit that out.
Thank you. Now, because we're in the spirit of Christmas, Jason, we're not finished here this week, right? Our gift to the world is we're going to give you a bonus review, guys. And the review we're doing is a movie that just dropped. Well, released theatrically this year, but now is available on streaming, and that is
I
Red One.
I would have seen it in theaters, but I was sick that day.
Well, let's talk about Red One, which, believe it or not, and we're talking about finances, we were talking that was $20 million, Violent Night. This was budgeted between $200 to $250 million, Jason. And at this point, only made back theatrically globally 175. So this thing is a financial disaster, even with the streaming service deals. It's what it is, Jason. And we're talking Red One.
I have one
It's
thing to
and I'm
say
going to put
about
it
that.
out there. It's
I have
a
one thing to say about
Marvel.
that. Good. Good. I'm glad it flopped. Good.
To me, this movie is an attempt to marvelize the Santa mythology. So let's give it that Marvel look, feel, like logic. And this is where the film, I mean, I can critically tear this movie apart, but I'm also going to say that at the end of it, I kind of like the film, but there's a lot to pick on it about. I would even challenge you, Jason, and say, if this movie was released 10 years ago, it's not only financially successful, it's lauded as a good film. I believe that wholly and solely.
No.
And I think it
No.
is because it's a movie out of time and place. This is a movie where they're trying to make these big budget movie. Audience doesn't want to see these type of films anymore. The Rock, done. He's done. Nobody wants to go and see The Rock films anymore. 10 years ago, yes. He could come out with a movie with giant white monkeys and people went and saw it.
The giant white monkey movie was good.
Rampage.
It was good.
The video game is better. I'll stand by that.
I agree, but the Rampage movie was good. It knew what it was. It was stupid, but it was good.
I'm going to keep, with my review on this, I'm going to keep coming back to The Rock because he highlights the inert failure of this movie quite a lot.
The Rock is definitely inert. I will say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I know you, and a little bit of a backstory here. I had put in the comments the other day that I just watched it and went, look, it's dumb, but I kind of liked it. Not knowing that you had seen it. We had spoken about potentially watching it and hate watching it. I had said, I want to hate watch this film. So I went in with that. Not knowing at 17 hours prior to my statement to you, which I didn't know, you'd already been on Threads going, I despise this movie. And then afterwards, it was only afterwards I saw it and I went immediately, well, we've got to talk about it now. I kind of liked it. You despised it. So let's see if we find out what you despised about it and what I liked about it. So you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. I have the floor, the walls, and the ceiling on this one. So if I had to sum up the thing about this movie that I hate the most, it would not be The Rock, even though he's heinous in this movie and has lost all his charisma, and I would be perfectly happy if he never made a movie again. The complete waste of Chris Evans, who does have charm, but it's like trying to stick his finger in a dam that is collapsing around him. The complete waste of J.K. Simmons. The gaudy special effects. The complete heartless writing. It is the fact that this movie is just cynical. This is a cynical, heartless, brainless movie that is just trying to get butts and seats for an action movie. And I think that is the thing that I hate about it the most. And watching Violent Night just makes me hate it more because Violent Night pulled it off. Violent Night was a Christmassy, heartfelt, wholesome movie, whereas Red One was just a generic product. And it was just bad. And it was boring. And every single joke landed with a thud. And I know you want to say something. Just give me a few more minutes. I hated this movie so much. I hated every glacial minute of it. I hated those stupid snowmen. I hated the CGI reindeer. The only thing I liked about this movie, the only thing where I was like, wow, I wish that there was more about this in the movie, was Krampus. He was the highlight. I wanted to see, whenever they left Krampus, I was like, no, can we just keep the camera with Krampus to see what he does from now on? Because it's got to be more interesting than this. It's got to be. And it was just, no. And then when he shows up at the end and he's like, yes, brother, we are still brothers, yes. I'm like, yeah, this is the movie I wanted right here. Santa and Krampus. What are their relationships? Do they get along? They're brothers? Really? I want to know the backstory about this. No, we're going to go over here with The Rock, and The Rock is going to be like, I have to go save Krampus. I have to go save Santa. I have to save Christmas. And then I hate this job. And I also hate you, Chris Evans. And don't you dare hate Chris Evans. Chris Evans did nothing wrong. Chris, I forgive you. You sweet angel. I forgive you for this movie. That's it. That's all I have to say. Good night.
Well, all I wanted to say about this one, and I'll just keep going on with my review. I think the weakest part of this movie is the fact they try to infuse Marvel logic. So they try to come up with pseudo explanations with technology on how he ran the whole system.
Yep,
And
strip the magic
everything
away.
was such a basis on a technology. And even though, like, what it did, where they were trying to create magic, it actually sucked all the Christmas magic out of the film. And it's void of, as much as Violent Night's full of heart, this is void of heart. And I do see it on that surface level. Chris Evans, he was the glue of this film, as far as I'm concerned, because I like when Chris Evans plays these type of characters.
He's
But
an
even his
angel.
arc,
An angel.
yeah, even his arc in this film is questionable with his son. And I did have issues with that.
It's predictable. It's predictable. I'm sorry.
I tell you
keep
what I did
interrupting, but I
like.
don't want you to say anything nice about this movie.
I'm definitely going to tell you what I did like. I like the idea of Santa being jacked, and the reason he drinks milk and cookies is because he burns millions of calories a night. I found that idea fun.
That's fine.
Hey,
that's fine.
Shout out to Mrs. Claus, that actress, who's a wonderful actress, and it's just nice to see her in a big budget film, because I do like, she's had a very long career. And I liked the snowman scene. I thought it was goofy and stupid. See, there was a point where I'm watching it and I'm going, oh no, this is really bad. This is really bad. To a point where I'm like, this is really bad. Like, I'm enjoying the awfulness of it. And that's where I land with it. I can't stand and say this is a good movie, but I liked it because there was enough in it to go, I'm enjoying the moment. I would never watch this film again. I would never recommend this film to anybody. But I didn't walk out with the same hatred you did have for it. I just went, I can see why they lost money. Like, these films are from an era that we have now moved past. Even Marvel itself, the only way they're getting a hit these days if they get people like Hugh Jackman and Wolverine and Deadpool in a movie, you know? Even their model of filmmaking, which this film is based on, that kind of Marvel storytelling, it's done. And that's why I reckon 10 years ago it would have been financially more successful, because the audience was so in love with that kind of high-end, technologically based action films. They would have enjoyed it. And people like The Rock. But here's the biggest problem with The Rock. The Rock has never evolved as an actor. You see someone like Dave Bautista, you see him in his early stuff, but you can see the evolution of him becoming more and more talented. He's done the work. He's he's becoming a better actor. The Rock hit a wall and has never been able to get past that, that stock standard personality that he's had since he was in Welcome to the Jungle. Maybe is his first foray trying to play an action hero.
You're
And it makes
being
sense too.
very charitable. I think he's gone backwards. I think he's.
You really think he's gone backwards?
Yes.
Yeah. I just think he's just never. Yeah. I mean, you're probably right, but he's never gotten to. Right. Apparently, he's filming a biopic at the moment, and apparently it's his award-winning role that's going to come out next year. But I doubt it. This film was directed by the same people that made Welcome to the Jungle and the sequel to Welcome to the Jungle.
There's a sequel to Welcome to the Jungle?
Not Welcome to the Jungle. What am I talking about? Jumanji.
Okay.
Jumanji.
I know it. I know that it's called The Run. Was it called The Rundown? I think it's called The Rundown here in America, and I think everywhere else it's called Welcome to the Jungle.
To the Jungle.
Yeah. I was going to say, wow, I love The Rundown. I really wish there was a sequel to it.
No, it is by the Jumanji films, and I'll be honest with you, I never loved those films, either of those new iterations of Jumanji.
Or the third one.
No, they're because they're very similar. There's a lot of action, there's a lot of quips, but there's no heart, which this film, certainly is lacking of. I think they thought they had a franchise here too, because I thought they were setting up stones for a potential couple of years' time. You're going to get to see Red 1 too. But thankfully, the audience has spoken about this and went, no, we
Red
didn't
one
even
too.
want
Wouldn't
this
you
film.
call that Red 12?
Yeah. Well, you know what? And that's the big question. Did anyone really want to see this film? Was this a film when the trailer came out, people went, hold the phone, I must see this? I don't
I
think there was
was
ever any hype about it.
I wanted to. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I know everybody's going to be, oh, you're just a hater. I wanted to see it until The Rock's big stupid face showed up in the trailer. Then I was like, nope, 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 nope. That
I would
man
have,
killed the DC universe.
I looked at him at one point in the film and I went, you know what? You should have really elfed him out. You should have given him the elf ears because he looks like an elf that had been blown up by a tire pump. Like he's just an oversized elf. You should have
Yeah,
lent in more to that. But I reckon that's a Rock ego thing. That's like, yeah,
it
I'll do
is.
the film, but I've got to save the day. I'm the one who has to go with the deep emotional arc, which is not there. You can pretend that you care about what's happening, but you're just stupid, you know. And you're right, J.K. Simmons, he was a fine actor. No, he's not a fine actor. He is one of the great actors.
He
Um,
is. He is
yeah.
a
You ever seen that movie
treasure.
with what's about the drumming? What's that called? Hurricane. Well, what is that
Whiplash.
film? Yeah, Whiplash.
Whiplash.
Mate, just watch that. You'll never question J.K. ever again. Yeah, completely wasted. Because they do the dumbest thing in the world. They put him to sleep.
Yeah. It's
By
the
the
same
way,
thing they did with Debbie Reynolds in Halloween Town.
The Witch, bad villain. Bad villain.
Terrible.
Horrible.
Terrible.
The only highlight of that is when she turned into the 12-foot troll.
Was it though?
Well, it was
Was it
better
really?
than what she delivered as the human version. Yeah, and hey, we talked about how great the henchmen and how memorable the henchmen were in Violent Night. Can you even, besides the Krampus scene, which I agree is great, and I did laugh at the Rock and Sock'em moment. I know it's cheesy, but I did enjoy that little moment. That whole scene, that's great, but I can't think of any other of the side characters, henchmen in this. It's just totally forgettable. But
no, there was that one guy. There was the other guy.
yeah, but there you go. There
don't
was
know.
that one guy, but it's all gone foggy. It's disappearing.
Yeah,
Like Santa
and
going up the chimney in
best.
Violent Night. Yeah.
And I cannot help but think, because we did a review last week of Krampus. Hold on. We did a review of Krampus, and in Krampus, a snow globe is a major story point, and I just have the sneaking suspicion that a writer watched Krampus and thought, ooh, snow globe.
Well, it's the same concept, really, isn't
It's
it?
the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, let's go watch better movies and steal their gigs.
Yeah. And the dumbest way they escape from the snow globes, the father and the son, because they emotionally connected. And that was the key to get out of this.
That's stupid.
It's stupid.
It's stupid. That's like the worst prison ever. If you set two bad guys in snow globes next to each other and it's like, you're going to stay here for all eternity, eventually they're going to emotionally connect. Eventually. It's like, dang, Fred, I know I killed 13 people, and I know that you stole the life savings of senior citizens, but by God, you're my best friend. Crash.
I don't like to pick on, especially child actors, because it's not cool at all. And this is not about the kid at all. I'm sure if he's still in the industry, he's doing great. But I feel like this kid was the son of a producer or the son of or someone in the production, because I'm sorry, this kid delivers some of the really bad line readings that even Jake Ashton sort of going, let's go again one more time, because they didn't get it. Because that kid and his relationship with Chris, it's like they just totally cast the wrong kid. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why would you go with a mini version of Chris Evans? Like, sure, there's kids out there that would have been perfect for that, you know? I will say this one more thing. Last thing I did appreciate about the film was the relationship, the mature way they handled the Well, the mother-father relationship. You know, they don't hate each other. She wants him to have a good relationship with his son. He feels a lot of guilt about it. So I think they handled that dynamic quite well and quite mature for this day and age. Something that's quite relatable, I would say, with families across the world. But yeah, besides that, watch it, but watch it drunk with friends. It's the only way you're going to enjoy this film. It's the only way is being in a room with a bunch of people drunk. And I don't even drink, and I'm saying do that.
I believe that the only way to enjoy this film is to not watch it. Just cut your losses. Don't watch it. It's bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better. If anything, if I were stupid enough and crazy enough and self-hating enough to sit down and watch this movie again, I would probably just find more things to hate about it, because it's a movie that has just rubbed me the wrong way. I just don't like this brazen cynicism that just never stops. It's like getting blasted in the face with a fire hose of just pure cynicism in the name of ego and, oh, I hope this makes a lot of money. Which, again, I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad it flopped. I don't normally say this about movies. I'm glad Red One flopped, because if there's a movie that deserves to flop, it's this one.
I think it's also indicative of those types of movies in the last few years. Those big blockbusters that are trying to emulate a style or Marvel or a DC film that are packed with cynicism. There are a lot of these big blockbuster films that are made that are hollow. And I think this is indicative and will be on the tail end of these. I don't, like, as a studio, are you nuts? You want to spend $250 million on a Christmas movie? You deserve to lose money on it, right? Especially when the film that we just spoke about spent 20. Low risk. It was always going to be profitable.
But we has The Rock. Look, it's The Rock. This cat has the same amount of self-importance as The Rock, by the way.
Yeah.
Do you smell what the cat is pooping?
And I mean, let's face it, The Rock and Chris Evans ain't going to be cheap, right? They're not going to be cheap. So
only one of them's worth it.
Yeah, and one of them's coming back too. Oh my God. I can't wait for him to return in Avengers Doomsday.
I hope he's playing the Human Torch again. I just think that would be hilarious.
No, you come out with the best theory.
No,
one that got me super excited.
Yeah. I think he's going to be Captain Hydra.
Oh, please, for the love of all that is omnipotent, please give us that. There you go. That would be a great Christmas present.
Isn't it great to be excited about Marvel again, and you're not just Thunderbolts, really?
I will say with those two films, I think it is a crossroads moment for Marvel. If they can get Captain America and Thunderbolts to work, I think they're back. But if they don't work, I think they're in a lot of trouble.
I want Marvel to be good again. I really do.
We all do. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this was an episode of Two Halves, guys. We had a film that I think we will all agree is fantastic. And okay, you saw it last year. You saw it the year before. No excuse not to watch Violent Night again. And there's every excuse not to watch Red One, unless you're drunk in a room full of friends.
Yeah. You're a bad one, Red One.
Now,
Jase, really suck. Your plot is hole ridden, and The Rock's a lame duck, Red One. I wouldn't stream you if you were free on Tubi with no ads at all.
Don't. I will hear no implication about any negativity about Tubi. Thank you very much, sir. One of the greatest streaming services ever created.
Tubi's great. Incidentally, this dude right here is starting his own channel called Talking Tubi. He's too humble to say anything about it. I'm going to drop a link in the description below. So please visit his channel and sign up for it, because he's kind of revealed to me some of the things about the show. I think it's going to be fantastic. And
I've got a few surprises coming, hopefully, that will even shock you. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, because I do think, to me, Tubi represents those baskets in the middle of Walmart with all those films you never heard of, and you could get $5 to $6 or something. That's what Tubi is.
Tubi's great.
No, I'm going to go and celebrate some of these films that should
Tubi.
maybe have never been made, but I thank the omnipotent ones that they are.
Yes, yes. We thank you, Chris Evans, you absolute angel. We're sure that you're responsible for it. If you also look down into the video description below, you will find a link to our Patreon. We are looking for people to support us financially in these stupid things that we do here. And so, if you love Violent Night, hate Red One, or just love Christmas at all, please give this holiday season to our cause. And if you don't, well, you just must hate Christmas, hate Santa, and love seeing children cry.
You really should, guys. We are in for a big 2025. We got some really great stuff coming down the pipeline. It's going to be a great year and a great time to support us because it's an investment that will pay off.
Yes. Will it though? It will, sure.
It will. It has to. I think we're legally bound now because I said it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching the VHS Vault, and we will see you down the road. Pray. That's the next one, guys.
Pray for us.